triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Battle for freedom. Hello, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo5 Radio. I'm glad that you are joining me today. It's Wednesday. It's Hump Day. It's time for us to get ready for so much that we're going to be talking about today. Shocking revelations, and you're no longer surprised. My website's battle4freedom.com. From there, I want you to do me a favor. Click all the social media links that are available to you so that you can share this out with as many people as you know. My website, battle4freedom.com. You can see links to my new YouTube channel. Subscribe, tell everyone about that, because I want to get the word out, and I want you all to have a great time learning a little bit more about me, but not only about me, but also Mojo50 Radio. I am one of many hosts on Mojo50 Radio. Now, you hear Mojo50, I want you to understand it's Mojo50.com. You're going to go there. You're going to click the donate button, share it, donate to this organization that has allowed me to share and stream my content to you so that you can enjoy what it is that I have to share. My up days, my bad days, my good days, it doesn't matter. You get a chance to not only hear myself, but a wide variety of other different hosts. This network also will go so far as to allow other people to try, and there's going on right now. If you go to mojo50.com/open mic, you can hear these different programs of people who are going to try out on being on our network. And it's really great content and just new voices that you can hear. It's a wide variety of opinions and personalities that you're going to see on Mojo5 Radio. Check them out, please, because I will get into shocking revelations. And trust me, you'll be amazed when you learn about the content that's out there. Also, not only is Mojo5 Radio amazing in the content that we bring forward to you, but also in some of our sponsors, namely one of them who chose to make a coffee flavor, a blend named after me. Check this out. Watson's White Chocolate Caramel Coffee. Check this out. And American Pride Roasters Coffee. That's it. I've hit the snooze button a dozen times, and now I have to finally get going. But I'm not going to do this day right if I don't start it off with a cup of American Pride Roasters coffee, the official coffee of Mojo50 Radio. But I'm not going to lie to you. They have a wide variety of blends, but I'm leaning towards the one that's named after me, Watson's White Chocolate Caramel. You know what? It sounds as good as those words that just rolled off of my mouth. Listen, get it today. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you, and you want Watson's White Chocolate Caramel Blend to start your day off. Join American Pride Roasters Coffee and Mojo50 Radio, and most important, Battle for Freedom, as we celebrate the best coffee in the nation, American Pride Roasters. So not only that, I want you to understand that we have another sponsor, and we are about to go through some stressful times with shootings, everything, you name it, looting, rioting, and everything like that. And sometimes you can't process the information that's being handed to you because of the fact that you don't recognize the brokenness that may be in you. You've tried a lot of different healing processes. You've tried psychology. You've tried psychiatry. You've tried so many different ways, counseling, drugs. Why not consider one of our other sponsors, which is New Life Holistic? Does your mind seem like it often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's method and approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have experienced ever before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle for Freedom has sent you. One more thing. Give them the code Mojo50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic. Yes, New Life Holistic. Call them and process as you work through a lot of different issues that are affecting you. Trust me, I understand life can be challenging, life can be frustrating, but honestly, to tell you the truth, with the way that 2020 has been, it has been overwhelming with, it seems like, tragedy after tragedy, and we're trying to figure out a way to navigate through this insanity. Go through the stop, slow your roll, and do the best that you can to get yourself centered before you proceed this next day. I'm going to tell you to do that by getting right with Jesus Christ, accepting him as your Lord and Savior. And if you want more questions on what that means, reach out to me and I'll be happy to share what being a Christian, not even being so much a Christian, but someone who has been forgiven by God and empowered to do better than you ever imagined to do. New Life Holistic. New Life Holistic is one of the avenues that we use in sharing with people being healed. But I also want, and even the owner of New Life Holistic wants you to know Jesus as Lord and Savior, who brings about the true healing that can never, ever be outweighed or outdone. Please reach out to me. I'll be happy to share with you about who Jesus is and how your life could be taken back in the result of everything going on here. Shocking revelations. As we sit here and we talk about this today, you have to understand that our country is about to go. We are in the civil war. Okay, there's no way to get around it. And what's worse is things are about to become so commonplace as we're watching a lot of the devastation that's happening right now. You have a devastation where in Lebanon again, there's another explosion. There's another explosion that you are watching that's taking place, and it's unfortunate because here it is. It's so commonplace for them in Lebanon to watch the constant destruction that takes place in their lives. The constant life of threat, worrying, is there going to be a bomb? Is there going to be a missile rocket? Is there going to be an RPG? What in the world is going to affect them? That's coming here to the United States. We've watched in these common cities where everything is just so commonplace with violence. Chicago, Indianapolis, DC, New York, LA, Memphis, Detroit. The violence, the street violence, the gang violence, the drug violence, everything like that is as crazy as it will ever be. And we've become actually desensitized to the violence. We have movies that desensitize us to the violence. We have streaming that desensitizes us to the violence, and we're no longer moved to want to put an end to the tragedies that are devouring our families, devouring our homes, devouring our communities, devouring our country. You have to take this seriously, and we can't allow this to be commonplace, which it will be. See, you had the Boston bombing that happened a few years ago, and we've watched over the last few months as cities have burned, as there's been looting, there's been robbery, there's been raping, there's been murder over the last few months. And what's happening in Lebanon is happening here now, and it's become commonplace. It is very scary to think that we are now to a point. It's scary to think that we are now to a point that this is nothing that we have to worry about anymore, because it's just normal. We're at war. We're at war, folks. And I need you to wake up and recognize the significance of how devastating this is going to be. Wake up now before it's too late. I'm begging you, please wake up. Oh, Lord help me. Here's something that's not even shocking. Let's go to shocking things, or this not even common anymore. Let's go to Cindy McCain endorses Joe Biden. So Senator McCain of Arizona, the Cindy McCain, the widow of longtime Republican John McCain of Arizona, said Tuesday night on Twitter that she endorses Democratic presidential Joe Biden. The endorsement follows McCain's appearance in a video about Biden's relationship with her late husband in a Democrat National Convention in August. McCain offered her endorsement on Twitter after Biden had told donors she was supporting him. She says, "My husband, John, lived by a code. Country first. We are Republicans, yes, but Americans foremost. There's only one candidate in this race who stands up for our values as a nation, and that is Joe Biden." And I'm sitting here and I'm just, this is so insane. This is so insane that we're watching this thing. And I'm sorry, guys, you have to understand, making some serious changes right now, because, I just had to reorganize life. I had to reorganize life and get things back into perspective. where we're talking about the whole idea of things no longer being shocking. We're talking about the idea that life is no longer, no, there are no more surprises that we go through in this whole aspect here. I'm sitting here and it's something that Brian Keith says: political endorsements mean nothing to me. My vote is not swayed by who someone says I should vote for. Thank you, Brian. You're so correct. You're so correct. And the whole idea is everybody, see, and that's my thing is, while endorsements may seem nice, while endorsements may seem cool, sometimes it's interesting that people actually allow their endorsements to get into the way. Sometimes people allow their endorsements to get in the way of them bringing content. Sometimes people feel like if I don't have people liking me, if I don't have people following me, then there's no reason for me to say what I need to say. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching as all this stuff is taking place, and you're trying to have a discussion and you're trying to relay the truth to people, and you should not let sponsors drive you. You should not let who you know drive you. If you have a point to share, share what needs to be said. See, I think what happens is as we sit here and again, and it's how all the things that are going on in this country is so commonplace, and everybody's so angry, and everybody doesn't want to think about the insanity of what's going on in this country, that we're so used to things and disasters and everything going wrong all day long, and we don't think anything about it. We get so fixated in, oh, what's this news story? What's this news story? And let me go from shock value to shock value to shock value. And we never slow down just to hear the critical things that matter and ask the proper questions. And ask the proper questions. And it's very disgusting as I sit here and I watch. It's very sickening as I sit here and I watch what's happening to our country. The disaster that's happened. I saw in the video earlier with no sound on Hezbollah. Another attack, another bombing. This is going to become commonplace in our country. Now you have more and more rhinos. And it's not even, I understand this. I don't even like the term rhino. I don't like the term Republican in name only. That means nothing because it has very little sting because of the fact that it's been uttered so much. Just kind of like the N word, just kind of like the traitor word, just like the racist, the R word, racism, racist, and everything like that. The words have been uttered so much that everyone has become so commonplace into just uttering rhino that I don't think it has a sting. I don't think it has the full understanding. And anyone to understand this too. Republican in name only is even that in and of itself is a commonplace, unfortunate term because of the fact that our identity should not be in Republican. Our identity should be first in Christ, and our second, our identity should be in, remember, my role, my identity is first Christian, second husband, third father, fourth American. So what happened, if you understand, because here's another thing too, please, I'm begging you, because here's another thing that is in a shocking revelation. I'm not a black conservative. Do not call me a black conservative, please. It's not because of the fact that I reject the title black. I reject the title conservative, and I reject the title of black and conservative together. Because honestly, to tell you the truth, even that is not shocking anymore. Because black conservatives, whatever you want to call us, have been around for so long. It's not funny. It's just that more and more people are getting out there, and it's almost like I remember in the IT world, back in the late 90s, early before 2000, you had this thing of basically going out and getting your certification, your Microsoft certification. And some people, they want to do their CNEs, and some other people, they wanted to get their different certifications through through Microsoft. Now, a lot of people they were getting out and getting I can't remember the name tool that allowed you to record, and I can't remember the name of the tool that allowed you to, what's the name of it? That allowed you to remember all the different terms and memorize transcenders exams. That's what it was. It was the transcenders exams. And so it was a lot easy that everybody could just memorize they memorize the transcenders, they get their MCSE certification, and then all of a sudden they were dime a dozen. MCSEs were dime a dozen. And again, I feel like even the term black conservative black, has been, it's like a dime a dozen now too. And it's unfortunate too, because of the fact that here's where I struggle in this, because because I am not jealous of anybody. I'm happy for every black individual who has walked off the plantation, who has accepted the Brexit concept before Candace Owens, after Candace Owens, and everyone who walks away from the deception that has been offered by not only the Democrat Party, but even the Republican Party, where we turn around and talk about we want to be fiscally conservatives, but we don't make the right decisions. So we get angry with the Thomas Massey, who wants to stall votes, who wants to stall the the United States government spending money that we shouldn't be spending in the first place. Because the United States government is not this magic genie in a bottle that just decides that you just rub the bottle and money starts coming out. We say money doesn't grow on trees, but we have planted money in the government believing that they're going to supply us with all this money. You know where the government's getting their money from? Us. They're getting the money from us. So why in the world are we so determined to allow the government to be the ones who tell us exactly where our money should come from, and that we should be putting our hopes in them? It's so annoying as I'm sitting here watching this thing unfold. And I'm saying, why are we so enamored with trusting the government to do things that we should be doing ourselves? I'm going to be trying to go see Joe Jorgensen, the Libertarian candidate, this Sunday. And also, if I can see for the presidency, and also Donald Rainwater, who is the Libertarian candidate for the governor of Indiana. I'm trying to see them on Sunday as well, too, because I want to ask them the question. Everybody keeps talking about what they're going to do in the government and how the government's going to basically do such and such and such and such for people, or get out of the way of people. But there's nothing that's being laid out by any candidate as to what are you going to do. Well, that old adage from Kennedy, or was it Kennedy? Whatever. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And even before we even say for your country, what you can do for you. But see, what happens is the high idea of money, power. We're losing our minds over a Supreme Court nominee because we're putting all of our hope in a government position. We're putting all of our hope, yes, Roe v. Wade, guns, everything like that. But I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, we're so worried about controlling the top that we are doing nothing about the bottom. It's so commonplace to keep aiming for the Supreme Court, aiming for the presidency, aiming for the Senate, aiming for the House. Yes, those are the leaders, but you know what? We're not building fighters who will say, I want to put an end to tyranny that happens as Republicans, because with Governor Holcomb, I was really pro Governor Holcomb until he decided a few months back that he wanted to start threatening American citizens, threatening Hoosiers who didn't want to wear masks with $1,000 fine, 6 months in jail. I think it was like a felony charge or whatever of not wearing a mask. You want to talk about tyranny? That was pure tyranny, like there's no tomorrow. Shame on you. I continue to say he rolled back what he was saying, but the idea that it actually rumbled out of his mouth, and that he had the nerve to try and threaten Hoosiers. This is it. Everyone is afforded the right to make any poor decisions that they want, and there also, I don't know if there was a public apology and asking for forgiveness of Hoosier citizens and everything like that. He maybe got wrapped up in the emotions and everything that's going on, and it's really sad. But there's like this commonplace in the midst of this manufactured crisis, and I will continue to say manufactured crises because we're going to talk about the 200,000 in a few minutes here too. But let me calm down because I'm a little bit too angry. Let me actually move on to something that, honestly, it's a shocking revelation, but it's actually an interesting one that I want you to consider as we look at the nature of everything that's going on in the country. Because this one's key. Seattle pays convicted pimp $150,000 to be its street czar and come up with alternatives to policing, as he boasts he can talk to gangsters and prostitutes who won't sit down with anybody else. Andre Taylor signed $12,500 a month deal with the city on July 27th to work as its community liaison, according to the contract published by Publicola last week. Taylor said that he can talk to gang members, pimps, and prostitutes who won't sit down with anybody else. His nonprofit, Not This Time, will provide recommendations to the city on de-escalation, community engagement, and alternatives to policing. Mayor Jenny Durkin's office said the partnership would help de-escalate the ongoing situation by tapping into Taylor's lived experience. Ow. Before you lose your mind, listen, this is what I'm gonna say. Work with me on the slow clap. Clap. As insane as it sounds, you have to credit Andre Taylor with the most brilliant form of making money. He's a pimp. He's a money maker. He's a booty shaker. And this is crazy because of the fact that now, while you guys keep thinking, oh my goodness, that's so crazy. Listen, it is a very, very warped idea and concept. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it because of the fact that I think it is pretty crazy. But here it is. Seattle's lost. And honestly, pimps, prostitutes, here's your chance to take advantage of the complete chaos that's out there. Because you don't want to know why? Because of the fact that the church has walked away from its responsibility to actually be beacons of light in the community, salt and light in the community. Yeah, oh yeah, I want to get on the church. I want to get on us as Christians. What example are we setting? What are we doing? Wait, we're too busy reading these extra books outside of the Bible that has nothing to do with glorifying God and everything to do with glorifying man. We've elevated all these other individuals who are using these Middle Eastern or Eastern philosophies and incorporating them with simple efforts in understanding who God is through prayer, through devotion, through just reading the Bible. But we've come up with all these different substitutes, so no wonder the church may come off as superficial. No wonder the church may come off as impotent, because we've walked away from the true power that God's been given to us. Because again, we've got all these books that are a dime a dozen, that are commonplace, that have superseded the natural aspect of just reading the word of God by itself and allowing it to transform us. To pray to God, help me understand what your word says so that I can glorify you in everything that I'm saying and I'm doing. But we don't want to do that, because we want to pick up these different books and ideas and concepts that has us doing things that has nothing to do with Christianity and everything with secularism, spiritism, and so much more. And we never break free of the bondage that we have put over ourselves, because we have adopted crazy practices that has nothing to do with being a spirit-filled Christian. And that's Holy Spirit-filled Christian. And when we say Spirit-filled Christian, it means being controlled by the Spirit of God and nothing else. So, I talked about that one, about the street czar. I'm not going to lie to you. It's hilarious. It's funny. It's crazy. It sounds crazy, but you have to understand, these are people who are taking advantage. Here's another person who's taking advantage. And I know a lot of you are going to hate him, but this is smart. Michael Jordan launches his own NASCAR team and signs Bubba Wallace, the circuit's only black driver, in a bid to diversify the sport. Michael Jordan is launching a new NASCAR team, and Jordan, currently the majority owner of the NBA's Charlotte Hornets, announced that he is starting the one-car team along with veteran driver Denny Hamlin. NASCAR's only other black owner is Brad Daugherty, another retired NBA player who, like Jordan, grew up in North Carolina and played for the Tar Heels. So, and a lot of you guys are going to get all angry with Jordan, saying, don't try and mess up the sport, don't bring racism to... Now, listen, people can do whatever they want with their money. If they're willing to take that risk, if they're willing to take that gamble, guess what? Understand this. You're thinking that, Michael Jordan's going to turn the NASCAR black or whatever. No. NASCAR is not white. NASCAR is not black. NASCAR is NASCAR. But what happens is we have been so triggered to want things our own way. It's a commonplace thing that we're never open to just recognizing people taking advantage of being successful. Listen, I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom. My mic will be turned on when I get from break. I'll talk to you on the flip side. This election will be vital to the health and sustainability of our country. Our role from this day on could steer the election in either direction. Why? The way we treat one another. In John 13:35, Jesus says, "By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." We know that every election cycle brings out the worst in us. If there was ever a point for honesty, it is in how we act during election season. As much as we would want our candidate to win, attacking a person with contrary opinions only makes them determined to reject our point of view all the more. It may come off as ignorant from them, but we cannot claim innocence if we allow arrogance and disrespect to be the means in which we communicate with those who support the other party or other candidates. Our goal was and will never be to convert voters. Our role is to give them the information needed prior to them casting their vote. It is their choice and right of what they do with that information. Understand, more people are aware of the political corruption and hypocrisy than they wish or want to admit. So there's nothing for us to prove. Choose to be people who invoke change rather than people who irritate and strain. Dale Carnegie once wrote, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." In other words, give people the room to make their own mistakes. Without seeing that they were wrong, they would be blind to see what is right. Remember, every soldier present and gone have fought for the right of every American citizen to vote their own conscience. To insult and ridicule people for exercising their liberty to vote for their candidate is to also desecrate the efforts, memories, and sacrifices made by our heroes for said liberty. Please, show respect. Our nation depends on it. Welcome back, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio. My website for Battle4Freedom.com. In the beginning segment, I made sure I was hoping that you would read lips and understand my website's Battle4Freedom.com. Basically sharing with you the different sponsors that we have. We talked about not Battle for Freedom, but American Pride Roasters Coffee and so much more. I'll share some of the other sponsors, but I think it's really interesting as people are sharing their comments. They went to Facebook.com/Mojo50 Radio. There was an interesting thing where what is it? You hear it as Carrie and many of the other people are talking about how we're unfriending, we're getting crazy with how we don't like what other people have to say, so we disconnect ourselves. Here's one of the things that you have to understand. You have to get toxic people out of your lives. It is clear. Understand, we have this tendency to want to argue. We have a tendency to want to be, and I like this because she says, or friends unfriending friends, or being pissed because you don't agree with their side or like the person they vote for. They always have to be right and have the last word. I'm an independent on my own thoughts, and if I didn't want to hear their rants, thoughts, or didn't care about them, I would stop. One of the things that really gets me though is a lot of us want to have the last word. A lot of us want to continue, just get the last nudge in to feel like we're controlling the conversation. Like we feel like we've won over someone if we make the last smart comment and everything like that. It's petty to go there. We have to understand if things don't work out or we don't get the results that we want, just back off and give people the freedom to do whatever it is that they want to do. But because of the fact that we are in this, I've got to win, I've got, whether it's on social media, it doesn't matter. I've got to be the one who wins and sounds all smart and everything like that. And it's like, but you spent so much energy arguing with people that you lost time being, You lost time being creative. You lost time being effective because of the fact that you chose to allow yourself to be manipulated into an argument, into what is it? Endless discussions, endless ramblings, everything that's going on, and it produces no value. I ran into an individual who wanted to argue with me about the nature of what God's word says, and translations and all these other different things. And I wanted to I have their email. I want to email this individual, but it hit me this morning that I could turn around and respond to this individual who wants to get into discussion about, Arminianism versus Calvinism and the sovereignty of God and all the other different things. But then I realized it's already been established in the discussions that we had. It was this back and forth thing about whose view is right. And then I realized that, all there would be if I continue to engage in this conversation is who's right and who's wrong. And I basically don't want to hear your interpretation. King James Version only over any other interpretation, because the King James Version is the holy translation that's handed down from God, and we must trust this thing. Well, if that's where people want to be, let them stay in that. It's pointless to engage into a conversation where people have already turned you off. They even insulted one of my dear Christian friends, about the sincerity of where he is. And this guy is amazing as a Christian. I've told you about him. Much better Christian than I am. Much better Christian than I am. And you insult my friend about his character as a Christian. When you get to that point, where when people don't want to hear, stop arguing, please. Listen, there are going to be people who want to vote for Joe Biden. Leave them alone. Present the information to them and walk away. If you engage in an argument with someone who wants to vote for Pelosi, votes for Biden, or who doesn't want to vote for Donald Trump, if you engage in an argument and you want to be smart, you want to be witty and everything like that, that's on you. The fool isn't the person you're arguing with. The fool is you, because you want to come off on top sounding like you're the smarter one. Never argue with a fool, because they will bring you down to their level and beat you up with experience. And what happens is, as you sit there licking your wounds because you thought that you won, you realize, holy cow, I just wasted 5 minutes to 5 days of my life arguing with someone who had no intention of listening in the first place. Please. I'm understand this. Shocking revelation. People are going to vote for Joe Biden. Shocking revelation for those of you who don't like Donald Trump. People are going to vote for Donald Trump. But what happens is, because we act shocked. Why would anyone want to vote for that particular person? It's because it's their right. It's their choice. Get over yourselves. Get over ourselves. People are going to make decisions whether they want to or not. And there's nothing. The moment that we get into a ministry of believing that we are going to pound truth into people to make them listen to our side, we have lost purpose. We have lost focus on what we need to do. Word of God says, if no one wants to hear your message, walk away, leave them alone, go away. Stop wasting your time. But instead, we want to argue with people. We want to engage them. We want to be so frustrated. We want to stop. Because all it does is the enemy has you in his grasp, and he's controlling you and manipulating you. And then you look back and you're like, where did my time go? Where did my experiences go? Where did those opportunities go for me to get the things done in my life that actually matter to me? We are not warriors. This is the warfare that y'all think that y'all need to get engaged in is not the warfare you need to be putting your time in here. Please walk away from it, because it has no value. So let me get into this thing about the U.S. fatalities. So right now, this says U.S. coronavirus death tolls tops 200,000, but the daily fatality rates continue to fall, with an average of 760 Americans dying per day. And I want to get into this because of the fact that this is something that's really kind of annoying me, because there's just like this, it's like this, like, like Jurassic Park, and the velociraptors are constantly hitting the wall looking for a weak point of where they could break in. I was watching yesterday, Kaylee McInerney, or I never get her name right, but Kaylee M, who was kicking butt and taking names. And in the thing, they kept going over to go, why did Donald Trump keep saying 200,000 and 200,000, 200,000? And I'm sitting there like, you guys keep pestering and saying that word like it's actually Donald Trump's fault that 200,000 people died. Now remember, how many people more died under the Barack Obama's watch with all the different viruses that hit and plagued the United States at that time? But none of you sat there and blamed Barack Obama, who are blaming Trump right now. None of you wanted to put that on Barack Obama. None of you did. And more people died with the previous viruses than what's happened with COVID-19. But y'all keep hitting 200,000, 200,000, 200,000. So let's go with some facts, because many of you don't want to consider the facts. Fact: 42% of the 42% of the 200,000 of people who have died because of COVID-19 were actually senior citizens who were living in senior retirement communities. Now, most of those who died were in New York and how many other different states, where they basically sent infected patients into the area with the most vulnerable community in our country. So of the thousands that died, all of that is on Cuomo and on de Blasio. You do not blame Donald Trump on this thing. Donald Trump did not force them to Donald Trump provided avenues for people to get help. But they didn't want Donald Trump's help. They wanted to do it their way, and they turned around and they basically executed. They murdered. Everybody keeps saying, even as you look in the White House, people are putting Donald Trump murdered 200,000 people. Shut up. You kidding me? Donald Trump didn't murder 200,000 people. You sit there and we've murdered over 40 to 80 million children in the womb, but you have no desire to talk about that. Even when we actually have people who expose Planned Parenthood for what they're doing about selling they're selling and killing babies live for their body parts, for science, and for all these voodoo rituals that are happening, with the elite. Yo, you's gonna go Pizzagate now. How'd you gonna start that old conspiracy theory thing? Guess what? Pizzagate was right. We have Epstein Island and so much more. But you didn't want to listen, because you shut off the truth. You shut down the truth and start yelling out conspiracy theory because you lack the integrity and character to admit that you were wrong. We're telling you about one of the biggest tragedies affecting this country right now. Children are being exploited in the womb and outside the womb. America will be judged because many of you have turned silent to this. You've gone into your corners to sit there and count the hairs in your belly button while yelling "Orange Man bad." But you don't want to sit there and acknowledge the evil, ever-present evil in this country right now, because it's become commonplace. Let's sit here and talk about the 40 to 80 million children who've died in the womb in this country since 1973, since Roe v. Wade. And you sit there, what about rape and incest? What are those two combined barely count for 1% of that? And you're willing to sit here and sacrifice the other 99% of that 80 million for women's health? We're protecting the woman. You have the nerve. How dare any of you right now who are yelling that Donald Trump murdered 200,000 people, and you were utterly silent about the millions that we've killed in the womb? You are the biggest hypocrite and form of dung in the world, because you are full of poop to sit here and hold Donald Trump accountable for 200,000 lives that have unfortunately passed because of COVID-19, but you are utterly silent about the Holocaust. The Holocaust times the Holocaust times 12. The Holocaust times 12 in the womb in the United States. This has been happening on a daily basis. We're losing more children on a daily basis, day to day, than who we lost on 9/11. But Donald Trump at 200,000 people in 1 month, we are losing more than 200,000 people in abortion, in the abortion industry. But you want to say nothing there. You want to feel vindicated. You want to feel I am so righteous, speaking about against this sexist, xenophobic monster who's devastated so many people's lives and raped. And I'm sitting here, I'm watching posts of people talking about Donald Trump raping children and sleeping with actresses and sleeping with all these other and being indecent. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, your Democrat presidential candidate is guilty. We have video footage of him sitting there molesting children right in front of your freaking face, and you are ignoring it like it's not happening. Maybe because of the fact that you have watched your Democrat candidates fleece and rape and molest your children so long, it's become commonplace. It's no longer a shocking value, a shocking moment to you, because it's so commonplace in your life. Maybe you remember how I talked about the whole idea of the Stockholm syndrome, and so many people have been wrapped up in being a victim so long, and they've been raped so long, their conscience has been raped so long from the media, from liberal progressivism for so long, that they don't realize when they're being manipulated to be crying out against an evil when they've been sitting and sleeping with the presence of evil for so long. Your mind is detached from the truth. You can't handle the truth. You don't want to handle the truth because you don't know how to handle the truth. And it is a crying shame that you sit here talking about, yeah, Donald Trump, he's bad. I can't believe that people want to follow him. Let's move to something else, because this is making me mad. This is something that you should be mad about. Cop who shot Breonna Taylor's boyfriend emails colleagues to say the good guys are demonized and the criminals are canonized, as Louisville braces for Attorney General's decision on whether to charge him and other officers over her death. So basically, we're sitting here saying Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly wrote an email to more than 1,000 police officers Tuesdays. In an email, he defended his actions and the actions of other officers on March 13th when Breonna Taylor was 26, was shot dead after the cops entered her apartment. So you sit here and we watch this. Here's another aspect that we're bracing for this. Literally, Louisville is embracing for the coming destruction. Now think about that. The coming destruction, when people won't accept what has happened, the truth, because y'all don't want to hear the truth. Breonna Taylor is my banner. Breonna Taylor's my banner. Breonna Taylor was a pimp. Breonna Taylor was a drug dealer. She was a drug dealer. She was a liar. She was a manipulator, and was probably taking some of the drugs in her job as a first responder. But we don't want to talk about that. We want to have that discussion. It's just systemic racism and black people being hunted. They're preparing for coming destruction and understand this. It's going to be so bad that they are bordering up. This is gonna be worse than what we saw with George Floyd. And y'all keep thinking this is about freeing black people? You think this is about systemic racism? No. This is about people who lack the capabilities of accepting the truth and looking beyond all the nonsense and the craziness. It's very sad. See, now here's my thing. For those of you who are the violence is more commonplace. At this particular point, there is nothing you can do except be prepared for the worst case scenario. And I'm going to read something to you from one of our sponsors. I'm going to read something to you from one of our sponsors, and this is really key because of the fact that you're going to probably have yourself in this position here over the next, and don't be shocked as I read this stuff to you. According to FBI statistics, a violent crime happens every 26 seconds in the United States. That's over 3,300 times someone is forced to defend themselves. Now think about everything you do in an ordinary day, going to work, shopping, picking up the kids, walking the dog. How often are you leaving yourself or your family vulnerable? Today's the day you commit to protecting your loved ones, yourself, by taking the first step toward becoming a responsible, empowered protector. The USCCA exists to give law-abiding folks like you the training, knowledge, and legal protection they need to protect other families and their families and safeguard their futures. The USCCA is ready to help you become the protector you deserve and need to be. Visit uscca.com/mojo50, mojo50, to learn about everything the USCCA has to offer. Understand this as I sit here and I tell you this. This is very key on this. You are about to go into a war zone like you've never imagined before. Louisville's preparing for it. If you're not preparing for the disaster that's on its way, I have nothing to say to you. See, right now, there are a lot of churches that wanted to go into the kumbaya, meta love and peace and Black Lives Matter, and not realizing you're about to get burned down by the very people that you were defending. You're about to get attacked by the very people that you're defending. So if those of you who need to shop at Target, those of you who need to shop at Walmart, those of you who need to shop at Kroger and all these other different places in the hood, get your stuff now. So by Friday, get your things as fast as you possibly can, because everything is about to burn to the sunder. They are going to burn this place down. You know, they wanted to burn it down for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is just another reason. They're not going to want to accept it. They're not going to want to accept the truth. As you go look at the Tatum report that talks about how there was a discussion between the individuals who were in jail, locked up, the boyfriends of Breonna Taylor, who the other drug dealers, and how they talked about how one person fired at the police officers and they fired back. See, what y'all don't want to sit there and talk about is in many of these engagements, when the police officer's taking the life of an individual, something happened to precipitate force being raised to that level. When we look at the guy who slept, in the Wendy's parking lot, and he sat there and he laid haymakers and then took a taser and pointed at a police officer. When we sit there and we watch what Michael Brown has done, but we keep venerating these individuals like they did nothing wrong. There's a large number of ignorant fools in this country who choose that they don't want to accept the truth. And they're going to run on a banner, a lie, because of the fact that you don't want to hear the truth. Because you've been living in the lie and the deception for so long. Nothing's a shocking revelation anymore. No. It's shocking you into further disobedience. The lies and the deceptions are shocking you further and further away from the truth and the skills of discernment to recognize when you're being manipulated. And it's very unfortunate. Let's get back to some of these other different individuals, because these are some of the people that you need to worry about and be protected on. French-born Canadian woman, 53, suspected of mailing ricin to the president at the White House, had tweeted #KillTrump 11 days before her arrest and sent a total of 6 letters. Pascal Ferrier, 53, from Quebec, Canada, where Mike Phillip is. He comes on at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mojo 50 Radio. Check him out. Wonderful, high spirit, wonderful voice. Just listen to Mike Phillip when you get a chance. I wonder if this woman was one of his neighbors. Well, no, Mike Phillip is not in Canada, Quebec. But she's also suspected of mailing 5 poison-laced envelopes to law enforcement officials in Texas. Look how sweet. You think these people are just singing Kumbaya? They want to kill. They want to destroy. Ricin isn't a powder you get high on. Ricin is a chemical that you die on. And you need is not repay evil for evil. But if you don't muster up the gumption to defend your family and protect your family, when they die, you can't blame the president. You can't blame anybody else if you don't take the steps and the measures to defend the people that have been entrusted into you. Holy cow. Let's go to another one. Cops arrest woman carrying a gun, 200 rounds of ammunition. Oh, that's a whole lot. 200 rounds of ammunition and a shovel near Trump's Ohio rally as Secret Service joins probe and pair are charged with making terrorist threats. The two Virginia residents were arrested Monday after they were found walking on railroad tracks behind an Ohio airport. They were carrying shovels, a pitchfork, and a gun with ammunition, police say, and each were charged with making terroristic threats and carrying a concealed weapon, among others. Now, again, there's probably a whole lot more to this, but if there is value and there's data, look at this. Look how far many of these people are deciding to go. And we've allowed it to become commonplace that we're no longer even bothered or offended by these people who are destroying our nation from the core, and they will hurt you and your family. Can you please wake up? Can you seriously please wake up and stop treating this like this is nothing to worry about? Black Lives Matter, gotta love them, removes page encouraging the disruption of the Western nuclear family during a massive cleanup of their national website. So are you guys really shocked when you see and watch what they're doing here? You really think that they're going to change their stance because they took it off their website? Because if you believe that, Lord, I have got a bridge to sell to you. This is really sad and this is really scary. Going to move quick through this because there's some things I want to share. FDA will make it harder to get the coronavirus vaccine approved in a move that could block Trump's plan to have a shot before Election Day. Now, you know what? A lot of you are going to be angry about this. To tell you the truth, I don't want to see this as a conspiracy, but I also want to realize that we shouldn't rush anything without validating and verifying that it works and that we're not going to accept collateral damage. Because if 200,000 people die as a result of this vaccine, trust me, it'll be in the news and people will be slamming this in the face of the president. Here's one I thought that was really
baby, we can't have a baby. If you don't take this plan B,
dangerous
plan C.
TikTok trend that sees parents throwing their babies off camera while dancing to hit a rap song.
Say, no baby, we can't have a baby. If you don't take this plan B, plan C.
Where parents are throwing children off of the thing here. Oh, there's so much more I could play in that video, but it just really just disturbs me as I sit here looking at that, and it is really disgusting to know and think that people feel like throwing their children is a way to celebrate. I'll move away from that ignorance and share a word from a concerned father.
My name is DeVell Gardner. My 1-year-old son was a victim to gun violence. His name was DeVell Gardner Jr. That night, planning his second birthday party, talking to him, hearing him outside playing. And then just for that night to hear a phone call that he was shot in the stomach, talking to all the doctors, keeping my hopes alive, just saying, that he'll be all right. Hear the doctors just come in and just tell me, like, my son is gone, it just took me to another world. Just like, I just couldn't believe it. I just felt like I was just living a nightmare and I couldn't wake up. I just felt lost. I was in a dark place. I'm sorry. There's just days that I wake up and I just hope and pray just to wake up, just to see him, just to hear his voice. I'm torn. And I lost my firstborn, my baby boy. Help make a change. This has to stop. It has to. I had to bury my son. There's a lot of parents that have to bury their kids. Help make a change.
Yes, help make a change. So there's a complete contrast between the TikTok video of them throwing babies. And here's a man, a black man, who lost his baby because of gun violence in New York. Here we are. This is the nature of where we are as a country. And Mitch Dupree said it best. The moral decline of our country is appalling. It really is appalling. It is really disgusting. But you know what? One of the things is really cool, and I'm going to share this other story. I'm going to share this other one for another day. But I want to play another video for you. And as I play this, understand that I'm showing you some amazing stories. As we look at the moral decay of our country, I want you to show hope in our country. I try and end off with an attitude of gratitude where you send me a message at b4faog@gmail.com. And as the video was playing, I want to hear, it says, where people said, I thought I'd be dead last year. Ex-drug addicts share eye-opening photos of themselves before and after recovery to prove to others that it is possible to turn their lives around. The Addict's Diary is an online community for addicts and family members. It was founded by Kevin Alter, 31, himself an ex-heroin user who went to rehab 29 times and was homeless for 12 years during his 20s. Kevin's blog and Facebook page have become places people can go for encouragement and resources. As I sit here and you see these faces and you see these names that continue to just go over and over and go through this whole aspect here, I want you to understand something. You are never too late to be reconciled back to God. Do it before you close your eyes. Brad Staggs and Daily Mojo is up next. If you're listening in the morning, and Patriotically Correct is in the afternoon. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom. Let's not make this a commonplace for insanity. Let's change and transform our world. I'm out.